Sometimes it feels a little gendered, if we're being honest. There's definitely a divide between like a male department head's attitude about how they talk to people.
Yeah, definitely,
And
definitely, yeah.
it definitely feels as well sometimes that, if there's two newish grips or like camera assistants or whatever, and like one of them's me and one of them's a man, like a lot of the times I feel like I get a lot less grace at the same level of skill. Like
Today I'm with my friend Kelly.
hello. I am a cinematographer and camera assistant in LA.
In beautiful LA today.
The city that we're currently perched in front of.
And yeah, it's a swelter today, and I kind of have to squint because the sun's back there, but I feel like it's just so bright everywhere.
It's definitely just bouncing straight off the ground into our faces, so that's probably why.
Yeah, we were originally gonna go sit in the grass, but there's also a lot of snails here for some reason.
A really large amount of snails.
Yeah.
There's one right behind me.
You can't even. Okay, the scary thing about snails is that you can't even tell what's a snail or a rock sometimes. So when you say behind you, I don't even see it.
Well, it's not this rock.
Okay.
It's over there.
Thank
It's
God.
not going to come towards you.
Today, I kind of want to talk about film set horror stories.
I think the interesting thing is like probably 9 times out of 10, even more than that, I have like a pretty good time on set with everyone, and it's really chill, and I get to work with all my friends. But just every once in a while, from the nature of freelancing, you kind of end up with a new random person that you've never worked with before, and you kind of just have to, it's like the military almost, like you kind of just have to be around people and assume that they're chill and that they're gonna like work hard and not be an asshole.
Right, yeah.
Which
Would
is
hope so.
like, hopefully true, but then every once in a while someone surprises you and just ends up being like very scary and or just not a good person to work with at all.
What makes somebody not a good person to work with?
I feel like for the most part, like I'm definitely a personality hire. Like if we're being honest, I'm very yappy. I'm very like, let's chat like between, like while we're setting stuff up and like, how are you doing? Whatever. And then on bigger stuff, I'm a little quieter if, there's more complicated rigs to do and like everyone's locked in. And I don't mind when people are quiet. I do mind when people are rude.
Yeah.
Like I don't like when, if I'm working on something, if the department head is very like, go over here and do this. Go over there and do that. Like I prefer them be like, hey, this is what we're trying to achieve with the lighting and like how can we work on this together. Like I prefer a more collaborative approach to like a stronger hierarchy, I guess. And it's not always easy to tell if that's going to be the vibe until like you're already working. And I don't know, sometimes it feels a little gendered. If we're being honest, there's definitely a divide between like a male department head's attitude about how they talk to people.
Yeah, definitely,
And
definitely, yeah.
It definitely feels as well sometimes that, if there's two newish grips or like camera assistants or whatever, and like one of them's me and one of them's a man, like a lot of the times I feel like I get a lot less grace at the same level of skill. Like, obviously everyone's still learning, and like there's a lot of older department heads who are maybe just frustrated with younger people who haven't had as much experience on like bigger sets. But it is definitely interesting to see when someone else with the same level of experience as you is suddenly like immediately buddies with the guy who was ordering both of you around a second ago, and you're still getting ordered around like by the end of the day. And it's like, okay, so I don't know if this is based on skill level at all, actually. And it's always interesting to find that out through a project. But,
Yeah, I think it's a gender thing and also an age thing.
Yeah.
I've definitely gotten both or both at the same time before. I won't name any names just because most of the time I can't even remember the names anymore. I really have to fish it out.
All blurs together.
Yeah, exactly.
You're working with like 100 people a month. It's like, oh, well,
Yeah,
unless you really remember them, it's not going to be.
exactly. Should I say, if this gets 1 million likes, I'll drop the name.
Like, if you want the tea.
One of my earlier gigs when I was a second AC, for a very, very small, kind of shitty music video, I guess, where they made us drive out pretty far from LA, and like I was hired by this first AC who was a girl, and like the entire G&E team was like these 2 grips who, I guess we didn't need lighting because we were outside, but it was just like a whole grip thing. And then they were 2 brothers in their, I'm gonna assume, like late 50s. I was 21 at that time. The main guy, I guess the key grip, he like kept coming over to our camera team and like just like telling us what to do exactly. Like, hey, do this, like don't do this. Like if I try to do something, he would rush. I'll be like, hey, don't do it like that, don't do it like that. So finally, I put my foot down. I was like, hey, mister, like if you don't mind, like could you just take a step back? Like, you know, we got this. And oh boy, did he not like that. He immediately went from like, oh, like just let me know if you need anything, to a, oh, Missy, like that's not how you talk to your elders. Like he got in my face in front of, mind you, the entire production.
Oh, great.
Who did nothing and was yelling at me and was just berating me and was like, I'm gonna make sure you never fucking work in this industry again. Like, fuck you, you're a fucking terrible AC, blah, blah, blah. He would take things, I would be taking things to try to like walk across something, and he would literally block my way, like by putting a hand there. He's like, go around me. I'm like, oh, come on, are we in middle school, bro? He would go up to my first AC and be like, oh, make her do all the stuff. Like, make her move everything. Like, mess it up and then make her do it. And the first AC was just kind of eating it all, because he was kind of like putting his arm around her. It was just like, yeah, I worked on like Marvel movies, blah, blah, blah. Like, I can get you on these big things. And I like went up to her. I was like, do you see what's happening? Like, he's being an ass. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, I don't see anything bad happening. I was like, oh, okay, I see. The entire time I was just like, if I leave now, he's gonna feel like he won, so I have to stay, because I'm also petty. So I make sure I gave it back. Like if he was yelling at my face and he was telling me I was being immature, I would be like, hey, listen, you're the one fussing right now, you're the one yelling at me, so why don't you calm down? And he got so upset at one point he walked off set. And his brother came up to me, was like, hey, I think you should go apologize. I was like, no. And that was all I said. And
like, I think you should tell your adult brother to regulate his emotions a little bit better. How about that? I feel like, honestly, I've not had a lot of issues with people being openly hostile. It's kind of the passive aggressiveness sometimes of someone being like clearly they don't really like you, but they are, they're a professional and they don't want to do anything about it. So they just kind of like try to undermine you in smaller ways and make your life a little bit difficult. And I feel like, honestly, after college, it's been less of a problem. But there was a few incidents I had in college where I would be on a camera team, and it was one of those things where you know that you weren't like the person that they wanted for that job. Like, I was a freshman, I hadn't really done it a lot, and I just signed up through like a Facebook group, and I feel like I've always been pretty good about asking questions, and they always tell you to ask a lot of questions in film school, but like I would ask questions and the response would just be like, oh, you don't know that? Okay, I guess I'll teach you, and then go through it. I'm like, dude, I've been here for 1 month. Like, yeah, how would I know this? Right. It was so like clear that I think if I had been a different person and asked that question, the response might have been a little bit more generous. You know me pretty well at this point. I'm very loud. I talk a lot. Like, and I've always been like that, but like I think probably the first 2 years I was at college, I was like so quiet, because I just immediately, and I wasn't like that in high school at all. I just got to college and immediately felt so out of my element and like I was not really belonging in I guess in the department that I chose to some extent, because like there was a good split at my school of like male to female in the cine department. It wasn't super overwhelming in my class, but a lot of the classes above me, it was very male dominated. And a lot of them were already working at a pretty high level in the industry, and they definitely had a bit of a boys club for a lot of their crews, and it would be kind of a thing of, you know, I would show up and be like, hey, like super excited to work with you, etc. And then immediately they were like, yeah, okay, go over there and do this. And like, it was kind of a less of a, oh, we want to like train you and teach you, and more of a, hey, can you stay out of our way while like the big boys do their stupid little thesis project.
Yeah, ego's a big thing. That's a good segue, because I feel like ego is a huge thing just in general with artists all around, not just film people. You like get to a certain point, you think that like you're like hot shit, and maybe you don't, but you see somebody like a little lower level than you and you feel that way, and this ego just develops, and then all the like community and stuff like kind of goes out the door sometimes, and like the sense of like, oh, I'll help you out kind of goes away, which is not great.
Yeah, I think there's also definitely, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are very collaborative with the people that they usually work with, and then they have kind of a hard time extending that to higher crew, I guess, that's like a little bit below them, which is not always the case. You know, I have a lot of crews that I work with that are very, you know, very strong in terms of communication and kind of getting everything done. And then there's other ones where I show up and suddenly, you know, you're just very aware that you are seen as, you know, the grip, or like, oh, the second AC. Like, they don't even really want to learn your name, or, you know, they didn't want to hire you and production brought you on separately, and you're kind of just there. And it's always very uncomfortable when you find yourself in that position, because you're like, well, it's not really on me to like change their attitude about working.
Exactly.
So I can't really do anything.
No.
But you don't want to be in that environment for, like, you know, if you're hired on something for like a week or two, you're like, am I really going to just sit here and be, you know, talked down to by like 45-year-old men for 2 weeks? Is that what I'm getting paid for? No, like, I'm getting paid to do my job. So,
and it's terrible because sets are usually 12 hours, and we're talking about days on end, back to back. 12 hours a day is a lot of time you spend with people.
Yeah, and it's hard to spend it with people who are, you know, if you're locked in on the work and you're just kind of going, that's great. I can work in quietly, kind of do my own thing, do whatever. But if there's a group of people who are very chummy and like hanging out, whatever, and then like you walk over and suddenly it's quiet, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what were you talking about?
I'm not part of this. Yeah. I will have to say, I know this sounds kind of biased, but on a lot of sets where it's been like a majority women or like queer people, and there happens to be like a straight cis male, they will take note of how peaceful they feel on set. And I only say this because I have heard people say this before.
I also think that they match the energy a little bit because they're nervous.
Yeah, or
it's
that
like
too.
the opposite of like showing up on set and it's all bed and you're like, oh, okay, I have to be like very
cool,
very stoic about this.
Yeah.
And then like a straight guy shows up on a queer female set and is like, oh, okay, I guess I kind of have to be friendly or everyone's gonna look at me a little weird.
Exactly.
It's like reverse
hilarious.
pressure.
Yeah. I feel like when I like got into this industry pretty early on, like I knew that community was like a huge thing, and like obviously I shouldn't build an ego no matter what happens to my career, and like,
and that's always the best people too. Like the best DPs I have ever AC'd for are the ones who are extremely humble, even if they're at, you know, the top of their game, are just very like clear and concise and kind to their crew and standing up for their crew.
Right.
When a production is really messy or dangerous, that's the big one, because there's no quicker way for me to lose respect for a department head than when something unsafe is happening and they don't say anything, because I'm just like, well, even if it goes all right, this one time and no one gets hurt, like I can't trust that the next time I work with you something won't go wrong, because clearly you're more, you know, on production side than the people who are working for you. And that's not a team. That's it's there's been a few instances where, I don't know, this is something I try not to do anymore, but I used to take a lot of work off of Facebook groups when I was in like late college, first graduating, like trying to go freelance full time. And there were a lot of sets I ended up on from that with, you know, complete strangers, had no idea what to expect, where definitely realized, you know, a few days into that was a huge mistake. And I feel like I've kind of I feel like I just don't use Facebook groups that often anymore. But I started to learn the signs of when something was going to be sketchy, because like the communication leading up to it would be very poor, and you wouldn't really know who else was on the crew. And you know, there was a few times where I would show up to something, but like I would have my location shared with someone, because sometimes, you know, someone's like, oh, we're doing this travel shoot to the middle of this desert, and like you don't know anyone, and it's just some random guy on Facebook, and I'm like, all right. And then you show up and you're like, oh, thank God there's a crew. You know? You're like, that'd be crazy if there wasn't, but you never know.
Facebook was definitely something I was a part of as well. I've gotten some odd jobs from there.
I've gotten some great jobs from there, but I've also gotten the worst jobs I've ever had from there. So it's interesting.
Do you want to give an example of one of like the worst, weirdest jobs?
I was on a really random music video, like years and years and years back, off of a Facebook group, and like nothing bad happened to me, nothing bad happened to like any of the talent as far as I know, but it was just like a really poorly organized desert shoot. I didn't know anybody on it, and we were just out in, I mean, we're in 86 degrees right now, which is warm, but it was like high 90s. And production just didn't really bring a lot of water. They didn't bring a lot of shade. It was like,
that's so unsafe.
Very unsafe. And to his credit, like the key grip was definitely pretty uncomfortable with the situation. I haven't worked with him since then. I can't remember his name, but he had voiced some concerns about it, but ultimately the decision from all the departments was like, well, we're already out here, and you know, we all put some money into this, so let's go for it. And like one of the actors passed out part of the way through the day, and they had to like drive her into town, but it wasn't like a, oh my God, stop everything, you know, like we have to get this person to safety kind of moment. It was like, oh no, like, ugh, this is such a pain that we have to stop and do this.
Are you serious?
And the whole crew was kind of like,
that's terrible.
Do we walk? What's the vibe? But then some of them weren't. Some of them were like, oh, well, she should have drank more water. Like, whatever.
Are you
all
serious?
All male crew, by the way.
Great.
Saying
amazing.
That. And I was like, what if this person is really in danger? What if they have heat stroke? You know, it's like, it was so frustrating to watch. And like, I don't know. I came out of it all right. I got a sunburn, but it was, it could have been worse. But after that, I was like, I don't think I can do location shoots with people I don't know. And then, of course, I kept doing that anyway because I was stupid. I have a good one. This one's not from Facebook.
Okay.
This is through a mutual friend of ours who also had a really terrible time on this set. Not his fault necessarily, but we got tapped for this shoot in Vegas where I don't even want to say it was like a non-professional set. It was a set that had no business existing. They had a decent amount of money behind it from a Kickstarter backing, and I was hired because the first AC was fired a couple days before I got there for hitting the producer with a pelican case in an argument.
What the hell?
Also pushing someone down a short flight of stairs.
Oh my God.
And screaming at the director and calling him some interesting names, making fun of his neurodivergence.
Oh my God.
It was a really bad situation.
AC had a vendetta.
This AC was like, I don't know who it was. It was some local from Vegas who like also provided the camera and the lenses.
Oh, that's terrible.
Basically, I got hired to fill in. I drove to Vegas from LA.
Yeah.
And when I got there, the DP did not know how to operate the camera that they had.
Oh, the DP didn't.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, like
Interesting.
I took a couple batteries out of rotation because
Yeah.
he told me they weren't working. And then the AD, who is the person I knew, came up to me afterward and he's like, you can put those back in rotation. They're fine. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I literally watched this man turn the camera off by accident instead of record. And he was embarrassed about it, so he told you the battery was broken. And I was like,
My God.
oh,
Get out of here.
all right. And that was like 2 hours into the day on day one of me being there. So that was
Oh my
about
God.
the vibe for the rest of the project. And they had us in abandoned gold mines underground, like 3 hours overtime, middle of the night.
Oh. Yeah, I feel like I get less weird sets and more of just aggressive encounters in my life.
Hate
This
that.
producer, who was a woman on this feature, was being very, I guess just she wasn't being very communicative with me about certain things, and I was asked to be a gaffer for this specific time and to like pick out my crew, which I did. And she got upset at me for something, and it went on till very late in the day. And then she like tried to call me, and then even to the people that I was like, here's my key grip and here's my swing. And apparently she was very rude to them to the point where they came to me, was like, why is this person talking to me this way? It's like, I don't know. So I called her. I was like, what's going on? Like, why are you talking to these people this way? And then I actually screenshotted her text to me, and she said something similar, like as the guy before was just like, oh, like, I'll make sure you don't work in this industry. Like, you are so disrespectful. So I screenshotted it, sent it to the grip and lighting rental house, where I was working for at that time, who recommended me as a gaffer, was along with the equipment.
Yeah.
And they responded to the producer, was like, if you keep this producer there, if you keep talking to her this way, we're going to pull our equipment.
That's
I was like,
awesome.
oh,
that they
hell
stood
yeah,
up for
yeah.
you, honestly, I love to hear that. It's so frustrating to me because it is such a weird job.
Mm-hmm.
Like for everyone, for every department, any job in film is you're in a unique position, I feel.
Yeah.
Where you kind of have to be just way closer to your coworkers
Right.
than in an office environment necessarily, where you're kind of
Right.
doing your own thing.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand like why somebody would make that already kind of challenging and stressful dynamic like way worse like that. I'm like,
Oh my God.
you're gonna be stuck with these people for 12 hours for days, and you're gonna start things off on that foot. It's
exactly.
just it's such a crazy choice that's worse for you. It's worse for your crew. It's like you've basically guaranteed that your production is gonna be more difficult, which as a producer means you're using more money.
Right.
Like the only thing that a less efficient set means for you is that you are wasting money, and that's your job to not do that.
Exactly.
So don't do that.
Yeah, I've gotten more selective with the people I want to work with, obviously, because of these many reasons. I usually only hire friends when I can.
I think it's more important than ever to prioritize hiring people that you know are reliable, because there's just too much at stake.
Yeah,
to be hiring people who are going to cause problems for you.
Absolutely. That's a good point, too.
The things that I end up working on and the things that I got into film for are vastly different. Like, I work on a lot of kind of smaller indie stuff that's very character driven and very, I guess, like intimate. Like, there's kind of a lot of dialogue, a lot of softer, quieter moments, but man, I'd love to shoot a sci-fi.
Oh, hell yeah.
I would love like a higher budget, weird world building kind of something like that. I miss, I guess the reason I got into film to begin with was storytelling and kind of sort of like highbrow's the wrong word, but kind of more esoteric philosophy, like very things that make you think more of bigger ideas than like individual stories. Like I love a sci-fi where even though the story is maybe a little bit on the quieter side, it's not very action based, like the concepts that it's based around just sticks with you after you watch it for a really long time.
Do you have an example of something that did that for you?
Well, this isn't even a movie, but there's a short story that I did a project on in school for actually a production design class, funny enough. I was not good at production designing. I was like, oh, I'll take this. But yeah, no,
I don't think
I'm
I am
Cine
either.
for sure.
Yeah.
But we basically did a whole build out of it and like a visual board of what it would look like and all the stuff. And it was about people kind of trapped in these tiny rooms. And the whole room was like a virtual reality kind of experience. And they could leave if they wanted to. But that was like their apartments. And it was like an underground city where everyone's apartment looked like that. And you got assigned an apartment. And people just chose not to leave because they could watch anything and do anything they wanted, like from the chair in their room.
Right.
And then, the structure, the underground structure starts to experience problems and break down. And everyone kind of has to start looking outwards and realizing that they've been very isolated from people and like, wait, why are we down here and all this stuff. And it was not a very plot driven piece. It was probably like a 40-page short story, just about like this one woman trapped in her apartment and then kind of working up the courage to go see her son who lives far away in a different apartment and she hasn't seen him in years. And the story was very small feeling, I guess, but after you read it, you're like, oh my God, this world is so... It's almost like Fahrenheit 451 with like the four walls around them in the living room and they're all screens. Like, it just feels very relevant to today, even though it's obviously this very strange kind of murky underworld.
Yeah,
I guess.
But I'm sure the person who wrote it was like, it had to be like a metaphor for the human condition.
Oh,
or
absolutely.
society and stuff.
And it was written in the early 1900s, which is
Really?
wild because they didn't even have the level of
that is
technology.
I mean, yeah, it
reliance,
it always impresses me of like stories like that where it's like, oh, it's written like back when even the concept of this was around. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
As a director, I also enjoy stories like that where it's like small concepts, but like actually like a big idea.
I think it's honestly a lot to do with the fact that people use film and TV as like a background a lot now. Like people will be on their phones or they'll do other stuff and just throw something on in the background. But I feel like a lot of filmmaking has become so dialogue heavy and like they need the characters to say everything that's going on. Like honestly, in case somebody isn't watching. And that just makes me really sad because
that is sad, yeah.
Why listen to a podcast? Like don't watch a film that you're just listening to. It's like the visual language. I mean, I'm a cinematographer, so maybe I'm a little biased about this, but I'm like the visual language is the whole point. Without that, it's not film. And I'm like, I would love to see more mainstream films get away from like the just over the shoulder talking. Even like Marvel movies do that.
Yep.
And I'm like,
they like spoon feed you.
This is supposed to be an action movie. This
Yeah.
isn't action. This is just two people telling you exactly what's going on and then running around for a little bit and then telling each other what's going on again. And I'm like, I don't think that's the future of film. I think there's a reason that we've lost a lot of viewership in theaters and, higher budget stuff is kind of flopping. It's because people are tired of that.
This was great. There's so many more topics to talk about, honestly. But for the sake of time.
Say technicolorkelly.fitzy. Possibly the longest Instagram tag ever. Shout out to everyone in New England naming their kids Kelly Fitzgerald because I can never have just a normal tag on anything, but oh well.
I guess in the future, if there's anything else people want heard or if you want to talk about, it will be said.
It's to us getting mad about all the sets we've been on that have sucked.
Honestly,
it's
time for people to get mad.
I'm a hater, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, only when it's warranted.
I'm a very vocal but pacifist hater. So I won't start a war till you make me.
I will end one, though.
We will go on to the rest of the city now.
Probably sit in traffic in it for an hour.